Hello everyone, welcome to a very special episode of Greedy Keeps. Today we have a friend of the channel, a member of the community who's been around since the very beginning of the cEDH cast, Noah. Hello Noah.
Hello.
Today we're going to be discussing Noah's personal brew. It is a Kenrith the Returned King Turbo Druid list. So we're going to be discussing, one of the more... more fast, non-storm decks, I guess. So
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, so if you're not familiar with Turbo Druid, there's this card called Hermit Druid, which I guess I should have pulled up, but I guess it's a little late now. It says, pay a green and tap, mill cards from... it's your library, right? It's always your library. Yeah, I'd be impressed if it said target player. You mill cards from your library until you hit a basic land. And so if you have no basic lands, you just mill your whole deck.
I will add 1 point to that. Sorry to cut you off. It specifically doesn't mill, you reveal. So you can actually choose the order.
Oh, okay.
That's only relevant
if you mill, by the way, just so you know, if you mill, something says mill like X cards, you can also choose the order.
Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah, there's like a rule somewhere that's like, if you could mill any number of cards, you may choose the order that those cards go to the graveyard. If it was like mill 2, then mill 1, then mill 5, I don't think you can choose the order. But if it's like mill until, I'm pretty sure you can just...
okay.
Although I guess it might be different if it said like put the top card... Because there's a card that's like put the top card in the graveyard if it is a thing. Do something if it's not a thing. I don't think you could do that. But like if a card just says like mill until you hit X, I'm pretty sure you can choose the order. But anyway, if I'm wrong, someone in the comments just tell me I'm wrong. That's, wouldn't be the first time. So you have this Kenrith Turbo Druid list. Do you have anything you want to say about it?
What would you want to know on this part? Just depends a little bit, I guess. The inspiration was twofold. Blue Farm's really good, but I'm really bad at playing it. So I wanted a deck that could realistically not only keep up somewhat with speed, but also didn't feed Blue Farm as much either, because the deck plays relatively low artifacts and enchantments, because for the most part it's all acceleration, basically, because you're trying to Turbo Druid. So that's just some of the thought process I've put behind why I originally started to brew the deck.
Yeah, especially with like Worldly Tutor and Vampiric Tutor existing, you can a lot of times I feel like go turn 1 Dork, turn 2 Upkeep Tutor, then play Druid, and then turn 3 win. In that entire process, you haven't fed a Dockside at all. That's the big thing, right? If people didn't pick up on that. If you don't play a lot of artifacts and enchantments, you're not feeding Dockside. And if you're not feeding Dockside, that actually slows down a lot of decks in the format, like Corvold or Blue Farm or any of those Dockside decks that are just constantly tutoring up Dockside. You just want to make sure you're not feeding them unless you're also kind of doing the same thing. And this deck is a turbo deck, but it's also doing a lot of the creature stuff like Neoform, Eldritch Evolution, all those stuff. Yeah, so, all right, and I guess it should probably be also you are a 5-color deck, so you're playing Consult, Oracle.
Yep.
There's kind of an interesting interaction where if Oracle's in your hand, you just play Oracle in response to the trigger, mill your whole deck, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, lots of small interactions that come up. I find very interesting with the list. If they come up within the hand, I'll try to point them out.
Yeah, and then I guess additionally, I think this is probably the last thing we need to say before we get started on the Greedy Keeps is you're not on Underworld Breach, which is kind of a spicy exclusion.
Yeah, for better or for worse, I don't feel it's needed in a dedicated Druid list. I think it's very strong. I could even see someone saying a dedicated Reach deck could be strong in this deck. I don't think that's incorrect to say. But it's not the direction I feel I want to take the list, so it's the direction.
Yeah, I will say I like the idea of Savine's Reclamationing a Breach after milling your whole deck really late in the game. You know, like let's say you went for Oracle on turn 2 and they countered it, and now there's just like an Oracle on the battlefield, and finally like on turn 7 you like get back you get a Hermit Druid into play, you use Kenrith to give it haste, you tap it, and then somehow you still have 5 mana left over to like Sabine's Reclamation back a Breach. Like in this fantasy land of like where that's happening, that sounds really appealing. I just don't know if that would like ever happen.
Yeah, it's not something that I feel has ever come up often enough, because I've tested Breach in the list because I thought it's so strong. I felt I needed to actually test it rather than just writing it off. So, and I just felt like it didn't. I also felt like it didn't gel very well. But if someone is interested in something like that, I do have what you can swap out for Breach in the primer, and also a deck linked in the primer, which is going more that direction.
Sure.
So if you're interested in that, feel free to check that out.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people will be interested in both versions just because like Breach is so powerful, you know. All right, so let's get started on the Great Keeps. So we start out with a kind of sus one. It's a Force of Will, Elves of Deep Shadow, Diabolic Intent, Brainstorm, Thassa's Oracle, Eldamri's Call. What do you think of this one?
It's just a little awkward in my mind. The one thing is, even though we're a Druid deck, we have Oracle in hand. We can just land Dork second turn if we draw another source. We can... we'll have to tutor, and then the following turn we can try to consult. It's just awkward because the tutor we need to use sacrifices our creature. So we basically don't have acceleration to get a turn 2, any kind of turn 2 win, and then turn 3 is possible, but it's reliant on cards you draw. And I don't like doing that when I'm mulliganing.
Especially your first 7. Like, there's like a cute thing where I guess you could like theoretically like if you hit like a land on the top and then you drew like a Lotus Petal, you could go like Dockside into Diabolic Intent. You could Eldamri's Call for Dockside into Diabolic Intent and Thassa's Oracle, Elves of Deep Shadow, or Thassa's Oracle Console, but I don't know, that's a big ask. It's probably not going to happen.
Another awkward thing is if we have 2 lands, the Brainstorm could help us, but we only have 1 land, so it's not going to, really.
Yeah.
So definitely a bull.
Alright, so we have Eldamri's Call, Ad Nauseam, Exotic Orchard, Vampire Tutor, Allosaurus Shepherd, City of Brass, and Cavern of Souls.
I like the hand, personally. It's a little slow as anything, but it's slow, but it can get the job done, because you turn 1 Vampiric for your, not turn 1, you can do Upkeep if you want as well. For your Druid, then you can Cavern of Souls doing Druid.
This has a couple... Yeah. This has like a couple lines I really like. Like what I point to, I think you have 2... If Dockside makes... So you have like a few things you can do here. Let's say you just play the City of Brass on turn 1, and it's like right before your turn that you like untap on. You can get Dockside. If Dockside makes 5, you cast Ad Naus.
That is definitely a play, yep.
If your Dockside doesn't make that much, you can then just get your Hermit Druid, and then you can just like I guess you could you have a few options. You can, it really depends on your preference, but yeah, you can just get your Hermit Druid. You can like, I guess if your Dockside makes 4, it's like the same as you're just supposed to just Cavern of Souls for Hermit Druid if your Dockside doesn't make 5. But that's pretty spicy that you have those kinds of options, you know?
Yeah. This hand, if it wasn't obvious from that, definitely a keep, I feel. It's just powerful. You have, like you said, we have the option of Dockside if that's going to be a better play. Because this deck it's not built to be an Ad Naus deck, but it can. Ad Naus is strong. Drawing even 10, 15 cards is really good. Or CMC, though that becomes less relevant with Ad Naus. You understand what I mean?
Sorry. I think the cool thing about this is that it's a turn 1, it's a turn 2 Hermit Druid into a turn 3 win, and then if that turn 3 win like fails, you can always just go for it again on turn 4, right? Like if they rapid hybridization your Hermit Druid, let's say, you can just go use your Eldomri's Call to get a Dockside and then cast Ad Nauseam, you know?
Pretty much, yeah.
So that's pretty spicy. This is a good hand. All right. Vampire Tutor, Elves of Deep Shadow, Polluted Delta, Bayou, Forbidden Orchard, Dread Return, Bloodstained Mire.
And that's a ship back.
That's
assuming
a ship
the
back?
last one. Assuming the last one was a keep, of course, and this is a fresh 7.
Yep.
So that's definitely a send back. You have the worst druid piece in your hand. If you draw pretty much any other of one, you can kind of work around it. But Dread Return is the one you can't work in any way around, basically. So, because we didn't explain the combo off the top, there are cards in the deck that allow you to cast Dread Return with Flashback. You're not going to get your 4 mana and do your Druid combo most likely. So you always want to have it in the deck.
Yeah. A lot of times, like these Druid piles, they kind of have a bottleneck of Dread Return because Dread Return is just such a powerful way to return the card back to your hand, back to the battlefield, like Thassa's Oracle. And like sometimes, let's say Dread Return was in exile, you could like Savine's Reclamation, let's say, but in this situation, you'd rather just Dread Return than Thassa's Oracle. You know?
Yeah, pretty much.
But you would need 4 mana, which is just insane. All right.
A lot to ask for.
Second 7, Eldomri's Call, Verdant Catacombs, Misdirection, Hermit Druid, Tainted Pact, Time Twister, Vampire Tutor. This is pretty spicy.
Yeah, I think it's definitely good. And I know it's a hand of amazing cards, but I'm trying to think through the options and lines. Having a Druid in your hand is amazing. If it only had a second land in place of like an Eldomri's Call potentially, or Tainted Pact.
I think you can Vampire Tutor for Mana Crypt, and then you just play the Hermit Druid on turn 2, and then you have a Misdirection to protect it.
I agree. That's the plan that I think you should go for. That's the only good Arcanist was that if you had 1 more land, it'd be a bit better. But you're right. With the lack of interaction, I think that's correct, definitely.
I think if this hand didn't have that Misdirection, it would be a lot more suspect. But that Misdirection is really sweet here.
Yep.
All right. You're keeping this one?
I think it's definitely a keep.
All right. Fresh 7. Overgrown Tomb, City of Brass, Mana Confluence, Arid Mesa, Misdirection, Finale, Devastation, Veil Summer. That's a no-go.
Yeah, that's a no-go. It's too slow.
Birds of Paradise, Mox Diamond, Exotic Orchard, Forbidden Orchard, Marsh Flats, Forcible Tropical Island. This just doesn't have it.
Once again, too slow, no tutor.
Yeah. This is our 6.
Well, I guess slow's not the right word.
Yeah. Narcomoeba, Gitaxian Probe, Thassa's Oracle, Arid Mesa, Verdant Catacombs, Tropical Island, Misdirection.
I think this
one's
probably also goes back. Yeah. I will note, though, something like with the London Mulligan, notice if for some reason we do keep the 6, you can just barn Narcomoeba and you're good to go. That's just one thing I want to bring up. I think most people will know about that, but because it was relevant with Hulk lines, but just thought I'd bring it up just to be safe.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet, actually. Like, you're just never punished.
Pretty much.
All right, so this is our 5 we're going to. Porta Delta, Gilded Drake, Bloodstained Mire, Mana Confluence, Savannah, Demonic Tutor. I mean, yeah, this is it, right?
Yeah, compared to other ones, definitely, because you just bottom. You cast a turn 1 Demonic, and then you go off. You play it next turn and try to win turn 3.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Yep.
All right, let's do a fresh... Actually, what would you bottom here?
It would depend a little bit. I initially would say Gilded Drake, because it's kind of in there just because it's good. It doesn't in any way help the strategy. So I think you definitely bottom that. That's the easy bottom. I think the next one's a little bit up to you, the individual player, rather. Some people like not having the fetch because of opposition agent. If you're like that, bottom a fetch land. If you're not, I'd probably keep the fetch lands because I feel like the lane we have is a little bit awkward. But either way, you're pitching one of them to a Mox Diamond. I guess it doesn't matter too much.
Yeah.
You also have a Mana Confluence, so yeah.
If there's like a Yasharn player across the table from you, you probably like bottom the Mana Confluence or something, or
you're sad either way. So.
Yeah, you're really having a sad time, but
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's really rough for this deck. All right. let's how long have we been here for? 15 minutes. All right. Let's just do a few more.
Sounds good.
So fresh 7. Green Sun Zenith, Allosaur Shepherd, Cavern of Souls, Gataxian Probe, Swan Song, and Archmeva Worldly Tutor.
That will at first was like maybe, but not on first 7 because Cavern of Souls doesn't give you any colors, so you can rely on drawing land. You do get 2 looks because of Gataxian Probe, but I don't feel like relying on that.
So Mystical Tutor, Allosaur Shepherd, Ad Nauseam, Gataxian Probe, Worldly Tutor, Chrome Mox, Mana Crypt. This one's really spicy, actually.
I think you could keep it. It would definitely be a risky hand, and on 7 I could see you not keeping it, because you would pitch your Shepherd to your Chrome Mox, and then you Worldly Tutor for Druid, and then we play Mana Crypt. You also get another look because of Gataxian Probe. The main awkward thing is no lands, but if we were, sorry, go ahead.
The argument for me to keep this hand is if you hit a land off the top, you have a turn 1 Druid.
You know what? You're right.
I think that's it's a turn 2 Druid at worst and a turn 1 Druid at best, and that's a pretty great place to be.
Definitely. Yeah, I didn't even think about that with Gataxian Probe.
Yeah. It used to be like a thing that came up in like the Zur decks. It's why I always look for it when I see like these 1-mana tutors. All right.
Yep, so it's a keep.
Yeah. All right. What a fun hands. So Green Sun Zenith, Morphic Pool, Spell Pierce, Gataxian Probe, Misdirection, Sylvan Library, Volcanic Island.
If there was a fetch land, I would probably keep it because you could play. It would be slower, but you could go for a slower Druid. I don't normally suggest it, but turn 4 is still pretty quick. But it would be pod dependent. I think this is a ship back, but because it doesn't have the colors. Having 2 counterspells is kind of sweet. Having a turn 2 Sylvan Library is also kind of sweet, but it's pretty slow nowadays, I'd say.
Yeah. Second 7. Post-mortem lunge. That's a hard word for me to say back to back. Post-mortem lunge, Gemstone Caverns, Bayou, Fate Stitcher, Breeding Pool, Ponder, Demonic Tutor.
Well, this hand is a little awkward. If you're not on the play, I could almost see myself keeping it, but it would be iffy because you have the ability to tutor turn 1. The biggest awkward thing is your Fate Stitcher. We could work around this if we had more creatures in hand, like if we had a dork. Maybe
you can post-mortem lunge a creature back.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that would change things because you just pour some more lunge back your Thassa's Oracle. So I don't know what I'm thinking about that.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that. I'm an idiot. I was thinking you can just get back a dork for 1 mana. Yeah, well, you're right.
I didn't think about it either. So if you're on the play, ship this back because Gemstone's so good. It's a turn 2 Druid. I wouldn't keep it. If you're not on the play, keep it for the turn 2 Druid. Turn 3 attempt to win. Well, yeah, turn 3 attempt to win. Sorry.
Yeah, and you get to like ponder, which is like kind of sick. Like you do have like I guess really it's on turn 3 you get to ponder, so it's not actually that good. No, you get to ponder on turn 2, so yeah, you get to like dig for like interaction or something like that.
And also, I would suggest. Oh, sorry.
Or just prevent yourself from top decking a Hermit Druid piece.
That is important. That's a big reason why I play Brainstorm this deck. Is sometimes I can fix hands or fix awkward draws. Yeah. I would suggest probably pitching Fate Stitcher to Gemstone if you want to keep an extra land. If you for some reason want to keep Fate Stitcher, probably pitch a Breeding Pool. No, probably your Bayou actually because your Gemstone gives you your black.
Yeah. All right, and let's say this next one's our last one. So.
Sounds good.
Gataxian Probe, Lightning Greaves, Full Wrath, Stronghold, Deathrite Shaman, Dockside, Birds of Paradise, Tainted Pact. This one's a little weird.
Yeah, I think it's probably a ship back. We have one of my favorite cards in the deck being Volrath Stronghold, even though I can't say the name properly. It's
a pretty sweet. It's pretty sweet, like Plan D.
Yep.
Oops! I decked myself. I'm just Volrath Stronghold myself until I'm back in the game.
Or you just Volrath Stronghold your Thassa's Oracle.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Second 7. Soul Ring, Diabolic Intent, Neoform, Fate Stitcher, Breeding Pool, Verdant Catacombs. This is actually kind of sick.
No creature for the Neoform or the Diabolical Intent.
You have a Fate Stitcher though.
That's 4 mana.
You have a Soul Ring though.
Maybe
Your Fate Stitcher does untap your Soul Ring,
but it doesn't cast or spell. Because
Yeah,
the way
right.
I'm seeing it is you get a turn 2 Fate Stitcher, and then turn 3 you tutor for your Druid, and then you have to cast it. If it was Eldritch Evolution, I almost would think maybe, because you could get your Druid still, but Neoform specifically makes it so we can grab nothing in our deck.
Yeah, you're right. It's too bad. This hand's pretty sweet looking too.
It is, but I've had to turn some of those down too. It makes me sad.
So, Avacyn's Pilgrim, Time Twister, Autumn's Veil, Caverner's Souls, Dread Return, Bayou, Demonic Consultation. This is our second 7, I think. Maybe our 6. What's this say? It's our second 7.
Yeah. Well, it actually is our 6th. Because the last
Is
one
it?
was
Okay.
Comment.
Alright,
Yes.
it's our 6. What would you do here?
It's a little iffy. You could, if you want to keep it, you bottom the Dread Return, and you play your Avacyn's Pilgrim, and then you consult, or you can consult at your upkeep. Just if you really want to risk it, I think this is probably actually a ship back, even though it has some nice pieces.
Yeah, I think so too. There's like a really cute thing you could do here where you just naturally draw into your Oracle and then you name Dread Return, but that's not going to happen.
No.
Okay, so our 5 is Brainstorm, Narcomoeba, Mental Misstep, Noxious Revival, Cephal Delusionist, Fate Stitcher, Gemstone Caverns. This is a mess.
Yeah, let's go ahead and head to 4.
I mean, this is less of a mess. Dread Return, Demonic Tutor, Demonic Consultation, Lana War Elves, Overgrown Tomb, Deathrite Shaman, Savannah.
Oh yeah, this is heat in comparison.
Yeah, I guess you keep 2 lands, a Deathrite, and a Demonic Tutor?
Yeah, it would definitely be that.
And then just pray you hit some acceleration off the top?
Pretty much. That, or at worst, you're a turn 4 attempt, which isn't great, because most people have stabilized, but then they're ready to go. Definitely at that point, they're ready to either attempt to win, or they're ready to stop you. It's one of those two.
I think there's also an argument for Demonic Consultation, Demonic Tutor, Overgrown Tomb, Deathrite, and then your goal is to draw a blue source off the top, and then you just DT for Oracle on turn 2, turn 3, Consult Oracle.
I actually think that's very valid. Yeah, that's actually, because you just have to hit Effect Land, basically, and you're close. Yeah, you're pretty much there. I think actually, that's a good alternative line.
It really depends on because the keeping 2 dork, you could also just keep 2 dorks, and 2 lands, and then just play a Kenrith. You're probably going to hit a land.
Yep.
Or you could just DT on turn 2 for I don't know if you play Jewel Lotus, but something like that. This hand actually has a lot of options, but if you want to play aggressively and try to win on turn 3, you can. You can do that.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely keep on this. We discussed the lines. I think that's probably a good place to stop on that.
Yeah, sweet. So, do you have any tips for anyone picking up the deck for the first time?
You're gonna lose a lot until you learn when it's safe and when it's not. Basically, I've had and that generally speaking, going for it's always going to be better than not. That's just generally how I've found this deck to be. It's not a deck that's going to win a lot. I play the deck because I like it, really, is the main thing. It's not a deck I would suggest if you're looking for the most powerful deck in the format.
I will say it's really consistent. It's one of the most consistent decks in the format I've ever seen. It's just because you have all the creature tutors, all the black tutors, and you have a 1-card win condition. It'd be if I know there's this fantasy that Inala players have, what if Inala was Sultai? What if Inala was Sultai? And I feel this deck's a lot like that, where it's just oh yeah, I have a 1-card win con that just all I have to do is find it.
Yep.
So, All right. Thanks for coming on, Noah. Thanks for sharing your awesome deck and your insight into a pretty unique archetype in the format. It's pretty sweet. I had a lot of fun mulliganing it. Makes me want to play the deck, to be honest.
Well, thank you for having me. I've been watching the show for over a year now. I'm actually quite excited to be able to be on it. So, thank you for having me.
I'm thrilled that we got to have you on because, like, as I said, like you're like one of the first people to really like watch the channel and like give us feedback on our content. So I'm sure Ian, obviously he can't be here right now. Our schedules are so messed up, which you've also learned just us trying to schedule this video. But I'm sure he'd be thrilled to see you on here too. And shout out to Ian and the Comedian Ian YouTube channel. We just we're cEDH Cast is about a year old, and we wouldn't be here without you and the other patrons or Ian, obviously the former co-host of the show. So, yeah, awesome that we got to do this really cool Greedy Keeps. All right. Thank you, Noah. Thank you, everyone who's watching. Thank you, Ian, again, and have a nice one. See you guys.
Goodbye. Be safe.